Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you on this video how to remove exhaust manifold or headers studs. I'm going to be swapping mine out to bolts just because I can choose different things I can get from the hardware store, higher grade stainless steel bolts in this case, just so that my headers don't always look so rusty from the stock mild steel studs. Let's get started. Here's a look of my engine bay. As you can see, I took off my headers already and we're left with studs here. These are rusty and ugly, so that's why I'm getting rid of them. So I'm going to start by showing you guys method 1. So with method number 1, that's going to be using vice grips. What I'm going to be doing first is I'm going to be putting tape on the actual end of where the stud meets the head. This is so that we can measure how long the studs actually go into the block or into the head, so that we can find out and measure how long the new bolts that we actually need. So I've already sprayed some penetrating oil on it. It's been sitting for about 2 hours or so. So these are going to be the vice grips that I'm going to be using. Sorry, it's not auto-focusing, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that it's on super tight, and you're going to spin the vice grips in a counterclockwise direction. And once you turn it, it's loose. You can take it out by just kind of, you don't have to hold it on very tight anymore, but just keep spinning until it's out. And just use your best method. There's really no trick to this here. So since we got the first one out fairly easily, I'm going to show you guys the second method. Second method is going to be using 2 nuts. The idea here is to put the 2 nuts butt up against each other. So I'm going to put this in first. I'm going to put the first nut in. And you just have to go as far enough where the second one will be able to hold its thread. And then the second one, just butt up against it. And then what you want to do is you want to tighten the 2 together. So, alright, so I got it tightened. And then you just pretty much loosen it the same way as you did before. And this way seems a little bit easier. So, as you can see, it's just coming out right now. And if you don't have a ratcheting wrench, it's okay. You don't have to use it. It just takes a lot more turns. And here we go. It's just out right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all the other studs, and then we can go on to our next step. Alright, so the next step after taking out these studs is you want to go and measure and buy your bolts. In this case, this bolt is actually an M8 by 1.25, so that's usually universal for all Hondas out there, or at least the 4-cylinders. I can't really speak for V6s or anything like that. But what you're going to do is you're going to measure the part that comes out of the head. You want to measure it in millimeters, so this one's going to be 12. It's kind of hard to see just because it's not focusing, so sorry about that. So this one's about 12 millimeters, and then you want to add to this right here, the flange head of the actual header itself, which is, this is going to be about 10 millimeters. So you got 12 plus 10, so 22. Usually they come in increments of 5. So in this case, you can go with 20, or you can go with 25. 20 would probably be your safer bet, but since I plan on putting in a pretty thick washer, I'm going to go with the 25. You just don't want to go any longer than that, because if you crack your head, you're going to have to replace the whole thing, and this whole project gets scrapped, and pretty much just wasted your time, so you don't ever want to do that. Alright, so I just got back from the hardware store. I got myself a hex head bolt. It's stainless. It's a A2-70 stainless, so it's close to a grade 8 bolt. I also have myself a very thick washer here, so that it'll make room for the bolt to not go in all the way through, because if you torque it all the way down, if it's too long, it can crack your head. So we're gonna get started here. What you want to do is you want to grab your gasket. I got my old one here. It's actually in still pretty good condition. These metal ones you can reuse a couple of times, and they'll still be okay. The pressed type doesn't really last as long. But generally they would recommend you change it, so that's up to your discretion. And since we're using bolts now, it's a little bit different than previously, because now you gotta hold it while you're tightening it down, while the studs back then would hold it down. So let's get started. So I'm just gonna hand tighten everything down right now. Just kind of put a couple of bolts down. That way I don't have to constantly hold it. And this is already set to 23. And we are good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video here, and hopefully it helped some of you guys. And see you next time.